this video, I'm going to cover how to do the closed base basket technique, which creates a solid bottom for a rattan basket. This is the first in a three-part series where I'll be teaching the randed tote basket, a basket that has leather handles and works great as a picnic or beach tote. It utilizes a randing technique, which is a fun texture addition that you can add in your basket weaving. That will be covered in video 2. So check the description below for all the information on the other videos in this series as they come out. And if you want the pattern and an instruction manual, you can purchase that. There's a link in the description below for that as well. I also have this basket in the Textile Indie Collective, my online membership for basket weavers and fiber art enthusiasts, where I cover more in-depth steps on how to weave this basket as well as special techniques. So check out the Textile Indie Collective using the link in the description below. This basket is woven with rattan reed, which is a vine that grows in tropical rainforests. It's processed and used in basket weaving. It's very pliable when it gets wet, so it's really easy to work with and very accessible for the home basket weaver. You don't have to go cut down a tree, process it, and then steam the wood in order to make it usable. So I really enjoy working with this material. If you're working with the Textile Indie basket kit for the randed basket, then you'll have all the materials you'll need. If you are gathering bulk material, you can find the instructions and the materials list in our manual for purchase. The first step in this basket is to cut the stakes. The cut list is in that manual that I mentioned earlier. I have all of my stakes cut and the center mark placed so that they are ready to go. We're working in a closed base basket technique for this tote. Go ahead and grab your medium length stakes, dump them in your water to get them damp, tap off the excess. Grab your spoke weight for this. We're going to lay these out starting away from us up at the top of the towel. You may have to scooch around so that you have enough room. These are very long stakes. And we'll lay these out in parallel with each other, making sure that the center mark on your stakes lines up. When I put the center marks on my stakes, I like to add it to the wrong side or the rougher side of the stake so that the rough side of the stake ends up inside the basket. So I'm going to put my spoke weight there and then slide these guys under. That spoke weight just helps hold them in place so that they don't move around, and I can use two hands to work. And because this is such a large basket, you will need the maximum amount of the spoke weight to get it across or span across all of these stakes. Now I'm going to scrunch these up a little bit more so that they're not quite as far apart. And that way I can get the spoke weight over all of these. Now that you have your initial set of stakes laid in place, we're going to start weaving in the perpendicular direction, the other way. So go ahead and grab your short stakes or filler stakes, get them wet, and pull one of these out. We're going to weave one of these down the center so that it lines up with the center marks on our pieces. Now we're going to start under because we need these to be under in order to do the chicken feet. So we're going to go under first and then over, under, over, all the way across. Make sure that you end on an under and then slide this over so that the center marks on your medium length pieces here line up with this center piece. And then the center mark on this filler stake or short piece, we're going to slide so it lines up with the center piece in this direction. So it should be on the 7th one in, or that middle piece. Now once that's in place, you can make some adjustments to your stake so that center marks line up with the center of the reed, like so. And then we're going to grab one of our long pieces. Get this wet as well. Come in and weave opposite that first filler piece. So now I'm over, under, all the way across. And I lift up the ones that are laying down over my stake to make it a little bit easier. Find that center piece, line the center mark under that center piece, and then slide it in. Here we want to pack these nice and snug together. This is where we're going to get that solid closed base up for our basket. So come in and slide this, tuck it nice and close, pack it in so that they sit alongside each other like so. You may need to adjust the stakes so that they have room to get that new piece packed in nice and tight. If your perpendicular pieces are too close together, it can be too hard for the reed to get close. So you have to spread these guys out a little bit to make them even. So once you have that second piece in, come in, space out your stakes evenly. As we continue weaving in new pieces, it's going to get harder and harder to evenly space these. So reference the dimensions in the instruction manual if you're working out of that to space these stakes, the original stakes we laid down, at the desired width. We'll do some truing here in a little bit, but to make sure that you're kind of in the ballpark, because it does get harder to spread these out once we have all the pieces in place. So I'll put that in. Now I'm going to grab another filler stake and weave this in. Again, you start on an under for filler stakes, and it's opposite of that long stake anyway. And then we're going to pull that in. Again, center mark lines up with the center piece. Pack this in nice and close. Next up, a long piece. Again, we're weaving opposite of that last one that you just wove in. Match up the center mark and come in and pack this in. And then another filler stake, starting under and ending on an under. And now we'll do one more long piece on this side. If you noticed, I worked from the center towards the right. Once I wove this piece in, we're going to work towards the left. So we'll do this last stake. This is a long stake. You always want to end with one of your longer pieces, not a filler stake, because this is the corner of the basket and you want to not end on a filler stake. That would be a little bit awkward in your weaving. Now I'm going to switch sides with my spoke weight, move that over here, and start weaving from the other side. We're going to mimic the same thing, weaving a long piece, then a filler, then a long, then a filler, or long, short, until we end on the long and you've used up all of your stakes. When you've woven all your pieces in, your base will look like this. You have the outer pieces are long stakes, and then you alternate that with a filler stake, and your base is nice and solid. You've smashed the pieces together and packed them together nice and snug. You can reference the instruction manual for the dimensions of this base. One suggestion I would make is just have the width of the basket be whatever happens when you pack your pieces together. So this is going to be my width because that's how close the pieces come together. Chicken feet is a technique to finish off the filler stakes that we did in this closed base pattern so that they don't just hang out outside the basket. So we're going to take one of these ends, and each of these shorter pieces we're going to fold right against that last perpendicular piece. So this stake right here is running perpendicular to our filler stakes. So I'm going to come in and fold this carefully right along that edge. You can come get this wet with a spray bottle so that it's nice and pliable. If you're finding that they are kind of cracking or splintering a bit, allow that to soak for a few seconds, and then you can come in and do this folding. Make sure as you fold that you're not shifting the position of this perpendicular stake. You're keeping it nice and straight. Once those are folded, you can come and cut down the center of that piece and then fold them over, and you want to cut them so that they are just to the far edge of the second perpendicular stake. So I'm going to cut right here. Grab your packing tool, your straight tip packer, and on this left side I'm going to split these two and tuck them under this second perpendicular stake. So this guy is going to come under here like so, and then this guy I'm going to lift up with my packing tool and tuck this other end under like that, so I have a little V shape. Now I'll do the same thing for this next piece, splitting over itself so you get a V. This one's going to tuck right next to that first piece. This one's going to tuck into the next space, so we get a V. Now we'll do that all the way across, and that is your chicken feet along this end. Do the same thing on the second side of your basket. Subscribe to my channel to get more basket weaving content. Like this video. Thanks for doing that. It supports my channel and helps me to continue to make basket weaving videos. And until next time, check out this video on basket weaving. Happy making. Bye.